Mogul Motivation, educating and empowering entrepreneurs 1 week at a time. Presented by True Stories Media. And I am your host, Antoine Twiz Taylor. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Mogul Motivation. Welcome back. I'm happy that you are here. If this is your first time listening, this podcast is for the aspiring entrepreneur who is trying to get over that hump and make things happen. This podcast is for anybody with a dream that wants to aspire higher and accomplish that dream. I don't ask for any money. This podcast is produced out of pure passion. All I ask for is two things. Number one, if you find anything beneficial in this podcast, you pass it on to somebody else who may find benefit and value in it as well. Number two, please leave a review. Let me know what you would like to hear on this podcast, and let me know what you love most about this podcast. Those are the only two things that I ask for. I'm a native of Markham, Illinois. Markham is a south suburb of Chicago, about 10-15 minutes outside of Chicago. And unlike the word suburb, when we register and hear the word suburb in our minds, we think about big homes, wealthy, middle-class, elite, clean streets, nice streets. Markham is nothing like that. The Markham, Illinois that I grew up in the 90s and the early 2000s, had gang violence, not as much as the inner city, of course, but it had gang violence, it had homelessness, it had poverty, it had all of these issues that plague every black community across the country. But nevertheless, Markham, Illinois is home. And I will argue that now in 2018, Markham is worse. If you cruise through the streets, and you will see that on almost every block, you're going to see multiple abandoned homes. You're going to see a lot of businesses closing. It's really in despair. It's a city in despair. The streets are raggedy. Markham really needs an upgrade. Markham, Illinois is home. Nevertheless, that's where me and all of my friends, we grew up in Markham, Illinois. We grew up on the same block or within the same radius of blocks. We would ride our bikes every single day from sun up to the street lights came on. We would play outside all day after school. We would always scrounge up some change to go to the candy store. We would always scrounge up some dollars to go to McDonald's to get something to eat. We'll ride our bikes or walk up to McDonald's. That's the Markham, Illinois that I grew up in. And out of all of those childhood memories, the one thing that sticks out more than most is we always talked about how we wanted to be rich, how we always wanted to be successful in something. We didn't know what it was at that point, but we knew we wanted to do more. Okay, that's what I remember more than anything in Markham. And John 1 verse 46 says, "Can anything good come out of Nazareth?" That's what Nathanael said to Philip. That phrase applies to Markham. That phrase applies to you. Markham2Millions is not just a phrase that I trademarked. It's not a phrase that I created because it sounds cool. It's literally a roadmap on the journey of success. Because Markham is your current state. Markham can be a geographical place, such as in my instance, or it can be a mental place. Markham is where you are today. Markham is your current position when you're surrounded by despair, surrounded by chaos, when you're still trying to get off the ground. Okay, Markham can be your hometown, or it can be a mental place that you're currently trapped in and fighting to get out. But guess what? You want to be successful. You have aspirations to get to tomorrow. You have aspirations to become something more. That's what Markham2Millions really means, ladies and gentlemen. It's not just a phrase I trademarked to sound cool. It's not just something I put on shirts. It's not just something that I say every single day on my social media and everyday life. Markham2Millions is a reminder of where you come from, and not to be ashamed about where you come from, but it's also a reaffirmation of where you're going. Markham2Millions. You're trying to go from poverty to prosperity. You're trying to go from rags to riches. You're trying to go from nothing to something. And you can't ever forget that, because see, once you have that mogulism in your veins that we talked about last week, right? You can do anything on this earth. You can aspire and accomplish anything on this earth, whether you're an entrepreneur or whether you're trying to rise in your career. No matter what it is that you want to do, you can get there. Markham2Millions is a roadmap for the entrepreneurial journey. That's exactly what it is, and that's why I scream it every single day. So what's your Markham? You can't be ashamed of what your Markham is, no matter where you come from. I don't care if you come from the projects or if you come from a hole in the wall. Be proud of where you came from, because you know why? That's what made you into what you are today. And if you do come from, a wealthy, high-class suburb, guess what? Your Markham can be mental. You might come from a toxic family. You might come from a toxic relationship. And guess what? You got out of that and you became a success despite all the things that they said to you, despite all the things that they did to try to hurt you. Markham to Millions, ladies and gentlemen. You don't have to be from Markham, Illinois. Markham, Illinois is my home, yeah. Markham, Illinois is the setting of the novel that I'm looking to publish sometime soon. I'm always going to rep Markham. I'm always going to claim Markham, but you might not be from Markham. You might be from Harlem. You might be from the Bronx. You might be from Compton. You might be from Inglewood. You might be from, Mississippi. It doesn't matter where you come from. Just be proud of where you come from, geographically and mentally, because all of those hurdles gave you the fuel and the strength to get to where you are today, to get to where you are going, to give you the fuel to arrive at your future destination. Markham to Millions, ladies and gentlemen. It's a complimentary brand of Mogul Motivation. I coined the phrase, I trademarked the phrase years ago, and it's still going strong today. And I felt I had to do an episode to explain what Markham to Millions really means. It's deeper than just Markham to Millions. It's a roadmap. It's a symbol. It's a metaphor of everything that we've been through and everything that we're trying to do. So that's my message this morning, ladies and gentlemen. Very short, very brief. Let's continue to work. Let's continue to imagine reality. And never forget where you come from, geographically, mentally, emotionally. And always remind yourself of where you're headed. Have a great day. I'll talk to you next week, ladies and gentlemen.